Christmas ghost stories, the lost Victorian tradition. When you think of a Christmas tradition, what comes to mind? Carols, twinkling trees, a mountain of presents? But what if I told you that for our ancestors, one of the most beloved Christmas traditions was something darker? Long before the festive cheer we know today, families would gather around the fire on Christmas Eve to tell ghost stories, the lost Victorian tradition. That's right. For the Victorians, the holiday season wasn't just about peace and goodwill. It was the spookiest time of the year. This idea of a haunted Christmas might seem bizarre to us, but the tradition has deep and ancient roots. Long before Christianity, the winter solstice was marked by pagan festivals like Yule. This was the longest, darkest night of the year, a time when the veil between our world and the spirit world was believed to be at its thinnest. It was a time for looking back, for remembering the dead, and for sitting with the darkness before the light returned. That ancient feeling never really went away. In the 19th century, with no electric lights to fight back the heavy winter darkness, people had long nights to fill. They'd huddle by the fire, the only source of light and warmth. And what better way to pass the time than by telling tales that made the shadows dance and your heart beat just a little faster? The most famous example of this tradition, the one that survived to this day, is Charles Dickens's 1843 masterpiece, A Christmas Carol. Its full title, tellingly, was A Christmas Carol in Prose, being a ghost story of Christmas. The story of Ebenezer Scrooge and his 4 ghostly visitors was an instant hit, and it perfectly captured that Victorian mix of holiday sentimentality and supernatural dread. But here's the thing. Dickens didn't invent the Christmas ghost story. He was riding a massive wave. He simply perfected the form, cementing it in everyone's imagination. And while his ghosts showed up to teach a lesson about charity and redemption, many of the other stories told on those cold December nights had a much simpler, more terrifying goal: to scare you absolutely senseless. The golden age of Christmas terror. Weirdly enough, the Industrial Revolution played a part in this. As printing became faster and cheaper, what had been an oral tradition passed around the fire became a commercial one. Popular magazines started putting out special Christmas editions stuffed with ghost stories from the best writers of the day. Families would buy them and read them out loud for a shared thrill of delightful terror. And Dickens was far from the only one writing these. Authors like E.F. Benson gave us stories like How Fear Departed from the Long Gallery, which mixed a very British sense of humor with genuine chills. Then there was M.R. James, a Cambridge scholar who is now seen as the absolute master of the English ghost story. His tales, which he often read aloud to his friends as a Christmas treat, are masterpieces of quiet, creeping dread. But to really get the feel of these stories and the grip they held on people, we need to dig up a tale that has been largely forgotten. It perfectly captures the blend of a fun holiday game and pure creeping horror. It comes from a writer named A.M. Burrage, a master of the craft who is sadly overlooked today. So, lean in a little closer. Imagine the gas lamps are turned down low, and let me tell you a story born directly from this lost Christmas tradition. A story called Smee. The story of Smee. The story is told by a man named Tony Jackson, who's at a Christmas Eve party. After a big dinner, the host suggests a game for the 12 guests. Not cards, not charades, but hide and seek in the huge, dark, and unfamiliar house. But Jackson refuses to play. When the others press him, he tells them about another Christmas party 5 years ago. He was a guest at a sprawling country mansion that was rumored to be haunted. After dinner, his host, a man named Jack Sangston, suggested a special kind of hide-and-seek. The game was called Smee. The rules were simple enough. All 12 guests would draw a slip of paper from a hat. 11 slips were blank. One had Smee written on it. Only the person who drew it, the Smee, would know. That person had to quietly leave the room and hide somewhere in the pitch-black house. The rest of the party, the seekers, would then split up and hunt for them. But here was the twist. When you bumped into someone in the dark, you had to challenge them by whispering, "Smee." If they were another seeker, they'd whisper, "Smee" back, and you'd both move on. But if you whispered, "Smee," and the person said nothing, you'd found them. You then had to join them, silently, in their hiding spot. One by one, the seekers would find the Smee and the growing group of hiders, until only one person was left wandering the dark halls alone. That person was the loser. Before they started, the host, Jack, shared a grim little story. 10 years earlier, a young woman was playing hide-and-seek in this same house. In the dark, she opened a door to what she thought was a closet. It was actually the top of a steep, unused servant's staircase. She fell and broke her neck. The story put a bit of a damper on things, but the thrill of the game quickly took over. They drew their slips of paper. Jackson's was blank. Someone quietly got up and slipped out of the room. The game was on. Jackson describes the absolute thrill of it. The darkness was total, the silence broken only by creaking floorboards and the frantic whispers of "Smee" from other rooms. He felt his way through the ground floor, hands outstretched. He found another seeker, whispered the password, got the reply, and moved on. He decided to check an alcove under the main staircase, hidden by a heavy curtain. He pulled the fabric back, stepped inside, and reached into the blackness. His hands brushed against a woman's dress. He whispered, "Smee." He'd found her. As the rules stated, he settled down next to her on a small wooden chest, waiting in the silent dark. He felt a strange chill coming from the woman beside him, but figured it was just a draft. A few minutes later, another seeker parted the curtain, whispered "Smee," and getting no reply, joined them. Then another and another. Soon the small alcove was crowded with people, all waiting in total silence. Jackson started getting fidgety. Finally, the very last seeker, a man named Reggie, dramatically pulled back the curtain, letting in a sliver of moonlight. "Aha!" Reggie yelled. "Caught you all!" "So who's the Smee?" A man named Captain Dillon stood up. "I am," he said. Jackson was confused. He turned to the woman he'd been sitting next to for nearly 20 minutes, the one he thought was the Smee. He assumed she must have been the first to find the captain. He leaned over to her and whispered, "So you were the first one to find him?" She didn't answer. He tried again, asking her name. In the dim light, she turned her head just slightly, and a cold, quiet voice replied, "Brenda Ford." Just then, the host, Jack Sangston, walked into the hall holding a lamp. "Game over?" he asked. The light flooded the alcove. Jackson looked to his side. The wooden chest he'd been sitting on was there, but the woman was gone. There was no one there. Shaken, Jackson joined the others heading back to the drawing room. He pulled his host aside. "Jack," he said, his voice trembling, "that girl who died here 10 years ago. What was her name?" Jack's expression turned somber. "A dreadful business," he said quietly. "Her name was Brenda Ford." There hadn't been 12 players in the game that night. There had been 13. The fading of the flames A story like Smee is the perfect snapshot of these Christmas gatherings. The nervous fun, the safety of the fire, the terror of the dark, and the chilling idea that the past is never really past. So, what happened? Why did this incredible tradition fade away? Well, it wasn't just one thing. As the 20th century began, Christmas itself started to change. It became more commercialized, more focused on children, presents, and the wholesome family themes that Dickens had helped popularize. Then you have the electric light bulb, which literally pushed back the shadows so crucial for a spooky atmosphere. After the very real-life horrors of the First World War, maybe made-up ghosts just lost some of their appeal. And in America, the tradition never quite took hold in the same way, especially once Halloween came along and effectively cornered the market on all things spooky, leaving Christmas to be merry and bright. And so, the Christmas ghost story retreated into the shadows, becoming a curious relic of a darker, colder past. It has seen a small revival in recent years as people rediscover the unique thrill of a winter's ghost story, but it's still a faint echo of what it once was. It's a powerful reminder that our modern Christmas, with all its light and joy, is a relatively new invention. For centuries, this holiday was also a time to acknowledge the darkness, to think about the end of the year, and to remember that we might not be the only ones walking this earth. It was a time to bridge the gap between the living and the dead. So this Christmas, when you're gathered with your family and the winter wind is howling outside, listen. Listen for the creak on the stairs or the whisper in the hallway. Remember that long ago, your ancestors would have been doing the exact same thing. Only they were hoping a ghost would appear. The ghosts of Christmas past might be closer than you think. What about you? Do you have any strange or forgotten holiday traditions in your family? I would love to hear about them in the comments below. And if you enjoyed unearthing this forgotten piece of history, consider subscribing for more tales from the shadows. Thank you for watching Fear Files Real Nightmares. Until next time, keep your lights on and your doors locked.